in the bacon, fat, oats in the bacon, in the bacon, fat, all tastes like bacon, fat, and it all tastes like bacon, in the bacon, oats in the bacon, in the bacon, fat, oats in the bacon, in the bacon, fat, all tastes like bacon, and then you put all tastes like bacon, the mince.
Why are you putting mince?
Because then you've got the girth. That's what you're not getting. That's what you're not getting, Sam. This is what I mean. You've got the That's what you're not getting. That's what you're not getting, Sam. This is what I mean.
Hello. Hello there. How are we all doing? Hello. There we go. Now I can hear myself, I think. Can I hear myself? Can you hear me? Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday?
Take your hat off, boy. That's a dollar bill.
Is it Wednesday? It is Wednesday, yes. It's Wednesday. Oh, we've been crowned already. One moment, please. Uno momento, por favor. Aha! And now all is correct with the world. I have been crowned on a wonderful Wednesday Eve. Oh, what are we doing with Stephen? Come here, Stephen. Where are you going to sit today? You can sit here. Actually, no. I like you on the windowsill. There you go. You stay on the windowsill, Stephen. All right. So, it is... Oh, my God. Going on it? Oh, my God. All right, there we go. It's Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock, because I am running a little bit late, because I've been trying to sort out the laptop. But, of course, something has gone wrong, because it's me. So, I'm still streaming from the PC at the moment, but I will have the laptop fixed by tomorrow's stream, so that should be fine. So it's time for a bedtime story. It's time for part 2 of False Gods by Graham McNeill. So, shall we see who's in the chat today? Who have we got? We've got Hate Absolute, Martin, Fakebag, Beardless, Dilliran, Jenkins, Jeski's Fella, Lady Dragon, Owen, and Atwell. How are we all doing? If I've missed anyone, let me know that you're here so I can say hello, because I do like to say hello. I'm polite. You know what I mean? Polite man. To a fault. Oh, that is a lovely Coca-Cola. Look. We're in daylight savings at the moment. Look how bright it is in here. At 7 o'clock. So weird. Looks like it's still daytime. But it's not, though. It's evening. Right, okay. So, how's everyone's Wednesday been? What have you been up to? I have been completely rearranging my entire PC gaming and streaming setup to try and incorporate this laptop. So I now have 5 screens. Well, I can't get the laptop working yet. So Gav has said that he will try and help me. So hopefully we can get this sorted before Queechy's Gate tomorrow night. Lady Dragon's been working, now chilling. Atwell's been working and tidying. Fakebag's got to do the dishes and really doesn't want to. Yeah, I know how that is. I've got to do the dishes after this stream. Because I can't let the Slam Queen do it because she's been in work all day. But I made tea. And then didn't have time to wash the pots. So I'll wash the pots after the stream. So I know how you feel, Fakebag. Jeski's Fella, sound. Spent the day tidying with Jess, so rewarding myself with some painting. Nice. Jenkins just woke up from an after-work nap. Atwell, what did I make? I made a mascarpone and red pesto pasta with chicken. Because I know that the kids like that. And I can make it from scratch. So and it's dead easy. Beg my pardon. And there was a sneaky one there. That was the sequel. Yeah, it's dead easy to make. Owen's been at work. Made sure he was shut shop and out within 5 minutes to make sure he caught the stream. Nice one. Bake bag. Dishes are a racket. Well, invite me for next time. It is pretty good, though, to be fair. It is very nice. Very nice indeed. It's really, really easy to make. So basically, you'll cook your pasta as you would normal. Put that to one side. Get a pan. Olive oil in the pan. Heat it up. Right. Throw some ripped up bits of roast chicken breast into the pan so it's like warming. Then massive dollop of mascarpone cheese. Massive dollop of red pesto. Then put a little bit of I put chicken stock in, a little bit of chicken stock, and then salt and pepper, and then you just keep mixing all that in the pan on like a medium heat until it goes nice and creamy. And then when the sauce is ready, you just put your portion of pasta in and just mix it all up, toss it in the pan, and then put it on the plate, and then sprinkle some spring onions on it. That's it. That is it. It's well easy to make. You can literally make it in 5 minutes. Fucking well nice. Really, really nice. I can make like a spicy one as well with double cream and harissa, which is really nice as well, with spinach in it. But they're my two pasta dishes that I can make. What I learned when I was fucking managing kitchen at fucking ZZ's. Yeah, it's good though. Instead of James Martin's kitchen, it can be Jay's kitchen. Queechy kitchen. All right. Oh, should we get cracking with this book then? What do you reckon? Do we get in on it? We get going? Because I imagine I'm going to have a very restless night trying to figure out this laptop. So. They're definitely going to piss me off. I know that. I know that much. Right. Okay. So. I'll make sure these are all a decent level. All right. I think we good to go. Well, there's some food that needs to be found on staycation, Jay. Oh, I know. Loki's already told me about it. Told me all about it. And he was like, let's get on it and we'll get the new thing. I was like, no. I want to get them on Monday on the stream. I was like, I'm going to save it till Monday. I was like, you go on it and find out where they are. And then you can help me get them on Monday. Like, and then we can do that on stream on Monday. Because I do like playing Secret Staycation. Very, very easy. I don't have to think about it too much. Whoa, that one came from the depths of my soul. I apologize. Pardon me. Oh, that well, you've got them all already. Fucking hell. Right. Do we get cracking? We get cracking with this book. See if we can bash out two chapters by 9 o'clock. Because I feel like I need to be off by 9 tonight because I am proper exhausted. Like, I'm proper tired. I've barely slept this week again. So let's just get right into it. So where were we at? Oh yeah. Yeah, so they'd been called the Sons of Horus, as they're now called. had been, they've gone to this planet, Davin, but they didn't really know why. And then, if you remember, Loken had asked Ignis Carcasey to go and be there because there was someone that he didn't trust. And Carcasey didn't really know what he meant. And then when they got there, a space marine called Erebus from the Word Bearers chapter turns up. And then Carcasey, as soon as he laid eyes on him, Carcasey was like, now I know what he means. Now I know what Loken means. And we know that Erebus either stole that Anathane blade from the Interrex, or he's something to do with it being stolen, because at the end of the first book, he was in the bowels of Horus's ship, basically hiding that blade away. So it's a cursed blade as well. Whoever you curse with it, it will basically become their nemesis and just kill it will kill that person. So what he's took it for, fuck knows. So shall we continue? All right. So, False Gods by Graham McNeill, Chapter 3. A sheet of glass. A man of fine character. Hidden words. On the day before making planetfall to the surface of Davin, Loken sought out Kirill Sinderman in Archive Chamber 3 to return the book he had borrowed from him. He made his way through the dusty stacks and piles of yellowed papers, lethargic globes of weak light bobbing just above head height, his heavy footsteps echoing loudly in the solemn hush. Is that music too loud, or is that okay? There we go. Let me know if the music's too loud or too quiet. Here and there, a lone scholar clicked through the gloom in a tall, stilt chair, but none was his old mentor. Loken travelled through yet another dizzyingly tall lane of manuscripts and leather-bound tomes with names like Canticles of the Omnistrant Dogma, Meditations on the Elegiac Hero, and Thoughts and Memories of Old Night. None of them was familiar, and he began to despair of ever finding Sinderman amidst this labyrinth of the arcane, when he saw the Iterator's familiar, stooped form hunched over a long table and surrounded by collections of loose parchment bound with leather cords, piles of books. Sinderman had his back to him and was so absorbed in his reading that, unbelievably, he didn't appear to have heard Loken's approach. "More bad poetry?" asked Loken from a respectful distance. Sinderman jumped and looked over his shoulder with an expression of surprise and the same furtiveness he had displayed when Loken had first met him here. "Garviel," said Sinderman, and Loken detected a note of relief in his tone. "Were you expecting someone else?" No, not at all. I seldom encounter others in this part of the archive. The subject matter is a little lurid for most of the serious scholars." Loken moved around the table and scanned the papers spread before Sinderman. Tightly curled, unintelligible script, sepia woodcuts depicting snarling monsters and men swathed in flames. His eyes flicked to Sinderman, who chewed his bottom lip nervously at Loken's scrutiny. "I must confess to have taken a liking to the old texts," explained Sinderman. "Like the Chronicles of Ursh I loaned you, it's bold, bloody stuff. Naive and
overly hyperbolic, but stirring nonetheless.
I finished reading it, Kirill,
said Loken, placing the book before Cinderman.
And?
As you say, bloody, garish, and sometimes given to flights of fantasy.
But
I can't help thinking that you had an ulterior motive in giving me this book.
Ulterior motive? No, Garfield. I assure you there was no such subterfuge,
said Cinderman. Though Loken could not be sure that he believed him.
Are you sure? The passages in there that I think have more than a hint of truth to them.
Come now, Garfield. Surely you can't believe that,
scoffed Cinderman.
The Merengen,
stated Loken.
I know Kaiser's final battle against the Nordafric conclaves.
Cinderman hesitated.
What about it?
I can see from your eyes that you already know what I'm going to say.
No, Garfield, I don't. I know the passage you speak of, and while it's certainly an exciting read, I hardly think you can take its prose too literally.
I agree,
nodded Loken.
All the talk of the sky splitting like silk and the mountains toppling is clearly nonsense. But it does talk of men becoming demons, turning on their fellows.
Ah, now I see. You think that this is another clue as to what happened to Xavier Duval?
Don't you?
Asked Loken, turning one of the yellowed parchments around to point at a fanged demon figure clothed in fur with a curling ram's horns and a bloody skull-stamped axe.
Jubal turned into a demon and tried to kill me, just as happened to an old Kaiser himself. One of his generals, a man called Willem Mardel, became a demon and killed him. Doesn't that sound familiar?
Cinderman leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. Loken saw how tired he looked, his skin the colour of the parchments he perused and his clothes hanging from his body as though draped across his bare bones. Loken realised that the venerable iterator was exhausted.
I'm sorry, Kirill,
he said, also sitting back.
I didn't come here to pick a fight with you.
Cinderman smiled, reminding Loken of how much he had come to rely on his wise counsel. Though not a tutor as such, Cinderman had filled the role of Loken's mentor and instructor for some time. And it had come as a great shock to discover that Cinderman did not have all the answers.
It's all right, Garfield. It's good that you have questions. Shows you are learning that there is often more to the truth than what we see at first. I'm sure the War Master values that aspect of you. How is the commander?
Tired,
admitted Loken.
The demands of those crying for his attention grow more strident every day. Communiques from every expedition in the Crusade seek to pull him in all directions, and insulting directives from the Council of Terror seek to turn him into a damned administrator instead of the War Master. Carries a huge burden, Kirill. But don't think you can change the subject that easily.
Cinderman laughed.
You are becoming too quick for me, Garfield. Very well. What is it you want to know?
The men in the books who were said to use sorcerer's powers. Were they warlocks?
I don't know,
admitted Cinderman.
It's certainly possible. The powers they use certainly do not sound natural.
But how could their leaders have sanctioned the use of such powers? Surely they must have seen how dangerous it was.
Perhaps. Think on this. We know so little on the subject, and we have the light of the Emperor's wisdom and science to guide us. How much less must they have known?
Even a barbarian must know that such things are dangerous,
said Loken.
Barbarian,
said Cinderman.
Perjurative term indeed, my friend. Do not be so quick to judge. We are not so different from the tribes of old Earth as you might think.
Surely you're not serious,
asked Loken.
We're as different from them as a star from a planet.
You're so sure, Garfield? You believe that the wall separating civilization from barbarism is as solid as steel, but it is not. I tell you, the division is a thread, a sheet of glass. A touch here, a push there, and you bring back the reign of pagan superstition, fear of the dark, and worship of fell beings in echoing fanes.
You exaggerate.
Do I?
Asked Cinderman, leaning forward.
Imagine a newly compliant world that experiences a shortage of some vital resource, such as fuel, water, or food. How long would it take before civilized behavior broke down and barbaric behavior took over? Would human selfishness cause some fight to get that resource at all costs, even if it meant harm to others and trafficking with evil? Would they deprive others of this resource, or even destroy them in an effort to keep it for themselves? Common decency and civil behavior are just a thin veneer over the animal at the core of mankind. Gets out whenever it has the chance.
Make it sound like there's no hope for us.
Far from it, Garfield,
said Cinderman, shaking his head.
Mankind continually stands bewildered in the presence of its own creation, but, thanks to the great works of the Emperor, I firmly believe that the time will come when we will rise to mastery of all before us. The time that has passed since civilization began is but a fragment of the duration of our existence, but a fragment of the ages yet to come. The rule of the Emperor, brotherhood in society, equality in rights and privileges, and universal education foreshadow the higher plane of society to which our experience, intelligence, knowledge are steadily tending. It will be a revival, in a higher form, of the liberty, equality, and fraternity of the ancient tribes of man before the rise of warlords like Callaghan or Nathan Doom.
Loken smiled.
And to think I've thought you were in despair.
Cinderman returned Loken's smile and said,
No, Garfield. Far from it. I admit I was shaken after the Whisperheads, but the more I read, the more I see how far we have come and how close we are to achieving everything we ever dreamed of. Each day I am thankful that we have the light of the Emperor to guide us into this golden future. I dread to think what might have become of us were he to be taken from us.
Don't worry,
said Loken.
That will never happen.
Little vape. A little sip of Coke as well, because that was quite a lot of dialogue. Fuck me, Cinderman. Jesus Christ. Fucking waffler. Alright. One more vape. My fingers stink of spring onions because I was chopping up spring onions. I've washed my hands like fucking 6 times. Owen, I like Kirill a lot, not gonna lie. Yeah, Kirill is sick. Kirill Cinderman's sick. I like the relationship that him and Loken have. You know what I mean? Because they both need each other. They both need each other's, like, guidance. Even though, like, it seems like, oh, Loken needs Cinderman's guidance, but I think that Kirill needs Loken as well, just as much as Loken needs him. Do you know what I mean? Because they both experience the same thing at the Whisperheads. And they both don't really understand what it is. Which is clearly why Cinderman's sitting in this fucking library, like, all day, every day. Like, reading all these old texts to try and figure out what it is that happened. Because everything that they've been told, everything that they know, is what the Emperor has told them. And the Emperor has told them that there are no gods, there are no monsters, there are no demons, there is no such thing as magic. There's no, do you know what I mean? Everything is just science. That's it. Like, you shouldn't have superstitions, like, or religion. Like, that's what the Emperor said. So that's what they all believe. Do you know what I mean? So, and then obviously they've just witnessed this thing happen. And not just happen to a fucking space marine. So it's like, they're both struggling with the same thing. So they're both looking to each other for guidance on the same thing, really. But I do like Cinderman. I like Kirill a lot. Oh, I can sit back, actually. Quite comfortable. Aximand looked through a gap in the netting and said, "Erebus is here." Horus nodded, turned to face the 4 members of the Mournival.
You all know what to do.
No, said Torgadon. We've completely forgotten. Why don't you remind us?
Horus's eyes darkened at Tarek's levity, and he said,
Enough, Tarek. There's a time for jokes, and this isn't it. So keep your mouth shut.
Torgadon looked shocked at the War Master's outburst, and shot a hurt glance at his fellows. Loken was less shocked, having witnessed the commander raging at subordinates many times in the weeks since they had departed the marches of the Interrex. Horus had known no peace since the terrible bloodshed amid the House of Devices on Zenobia, and the deaths and the missed opportunity of unification with the Interrex haunted him still. Since the debacle with the Interrex, the War Master had withdrawn into a sullen melancholy, remaining more and more within his inner sanctum, with only Erebus to counsel him. The Mournival had barely seen their commander since returning to Imperial space, and they all keenly felt their exclusion from his presence. Where once they had offered the War Master their guidance, now only Erebus whispered in his ear. Thus, it was with some relief that the Mournival heard that Erebus would take his leave of the expedition and journey ahead with his own legion to Davin. Even while en route to the Davin system, the War Master had not had a moment's peace. Repeated requests for aid or tactical assistance came to him from all across the galaxy, from brother Primarchs, army commanders, and, most loathed of all, the army of civil administrators who followed in the wake of their conquests. The executors from Terra, led by a high administratrix called Aenid Rathbone, plagued the War Master daily for assistance in their dispersal throughout the compliant territories to begin the collection of the Emperor's tithe. Everyone with an ounce of common sense knew that such a measure was premature, and Horus had done all he could to stall Rathbone and her executors, but there was only so long they could be kept at bay.
If I had my choice,
Horus had told Loken one evening as they discussed fresh ways of delaying the taxation of compliant worlds,
I would kill every executor in the Imperium. But I'm sure we would be getting tax bills from hell before breakfast.
Loken had laughed, but the laughter had died in his throat when he realized that Horus was serious. Hey Leeds J, how you doing? They had reached Davin, and there were more important matters to deal with.
Remember,
said Horus,
This plays out exactly as I have told you.
A revered hush fell on the assemblage, and every person present dropped to one knee as the Emperor's chosen proxy made his entrance. Carcasey felt faint at the sight of the living god, arrayed as he was in a magnificent suit of plate armor the color of a distant ocean, and a cloak of deepest purple. The eye of terror shone on his breast, and Carcasey was overcome by the magisterial beauty of the War Master. To have spent so long in the 63rd expedition and only now to lay eyes upon the War Master seemed the grossest waste of his time. And Carcasey resolved to tear out the pages he'd written in the Bondsman No. 7 this week and compose an epic soliloquy on the nobility of the commander. The Mournival followed him, together with a tall, statuesque woman in a crimson velveteen gown with high collars and puffed sleeves, her long hair worn in an impractical-looking quiff. He felt his indignation rise as he realized this must be Vevar, the remembrancer from Terror they had heard about. Horus raised his arms and said,
Friends, I keep telling you that no one need kneel in my presence. Only the Emperor is deserving of such an honor.
Slowly, as though reluctant to cease their veneration of this living god, the crowd rose to its feet as Horus passed amongst those closest to him, shaking hands and dazzling them with his easy charm and spontaneous wit. Carcasey watched the faces of those the War Master spoke to, feeling intense jealousy swell within his breast at the thought of not being so favored. Without thinking, he began pushing his way through the crowd towards the front, receiving hostile glares and the odd elbow to the gut for his troubles. He felt a tug on the collar of his robe and craned his neck to rebuke whoever had thought to handle his expensive garments so roughly. He saw Euphrates Keeler behind him and, at first, thought she was attempting to pull him back. But then he saw her face and smiled as he realized that she was coming with him, using his bulk like a plough. He managed to get within 6 or 7 people of the front when he remembered why he had been allowed within this august body in the first place. He tore his eyes from the War Master to watch Erebus of the Word-Bearers.
Hey, Helly.
Carcasey knew little of the 17th Legion, save that its Primarch, Lorgar, was a close and trusted brother of Horus. Both legions had fought and shed their blood together many times for the glory of the Imperium. The members of the Mournival came forward and, one by one, embraced Erebus as a long-lost brother. They laughed and slapped each other's armor in welcome, though Carcasey saw a measure of reticence in the embrace between Loken and Erebus.
Ziherna has subscribed. Big love. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Focus, Cygnus, focus, he whispered to himself as he found his gaze straying once again to the glory of the War Master. He tore his eyes from Horus in time to see Abaddon and Erebus shake hands one last time, and saw a gleam of silver pass between their palms. He couldn't be sure. It had happened so fast, but it looked like a coin or medal of some sort. The Mournival and Vivar then took up positions a respectful distance behind the War Master, as Malagurst assumed his place at his master's side. Horus lifted his arms and said,
You must bear with me once again, my friends. as we gather to discuss our plans to bring truth and light to the dark places.
Polite laughter and clapping spread towards the edges of the yurt as Horus continued.
Once again we return to Davin, site of a great triumph and the eighth world brought into compliance. Truly it is.
War Master,
Came a voice from the center of the yurt. The word was spoken softly, and the audience let out a collective gasp at such a flagrant breach of etiquette. Carcasey saw the War Master's expression turn thunderous, understanding that he was obviously unused to being interrupted, before switching his scrutiny back to the speaker. Wake Lee, how you doing? On YouTube. Big love.
welcome.
The crowd drew back from Erebus, as though afraid that mere proximity to him might somehow taint them with his temerity.
Erebus,
Said Malagurst.
you have something to say? Merely a correction, equerry,
Explained the word-bearer. Carcasey saw Malagurst give the War Master a wary sidelong glance.
A correction, you say? What would you have corrected? The War Master said that this world is compliant,
Said Erebus.
Davin is compliant,
Growled Horus. Erebus shook his head sadly, and, for the briefest instant, Carcasey detected a trace of dark amusement in his next pronouncement.
No,
Said Erebus.
it is not.
Fucking balls on Erebus. Yo, fucking balls on Erebus though. That's mental. Fucking hell. Fucking Erebus just straight up just interrupting fucking Horus in front of everyone, and then basically going, nah mate, you're fucking wrong. Like, outrageous. Like, fucking hell. Hey, you got her on YouTube. Big love. Owen, I fucking said something was going on with that rat. Eggy, geezer, lemon squeezer. How you doing, mate? Jesky's fella, such a gobshite. Yeah, he is, isn't it? Balls on him though. One thing about Erebus, man's got fucking set of Tezzers on him. Remember, we gotta be careful, no spoilers. Fucking set of Tezzers on him though. Loken felt his collar rise at this affront to their honor and sensed the anger of the Mournival in the stiffening of their backs. Surprisingly, Aximand went so far as to reach for his sword, but Torgadon shook his head and little Horus reluctantly removed his hand from his weapon. He had known Erebus for only a short time, but Loken had seen the respect and esteem the softly spoken chaplain of the word-bearers commanded. His counsel had been sage, his manner easy, and his faith in the War Master unshakable. But Erebus's subtle infiltration to the War Master's side had unsettled Loken in ways beyond simple jealousy. Since taking counsel from the first chaplain, the commander had become sullen, needlessly argumentative, and withdrawn. Malagurst himself had expressed his concern to the Mournival over the word-bearer's growing influence upon the War Master. After a conversation with Erebus in the Vengeful Spirit's forward observation deck, Loken had known that there was more to the first chaplain than met the eye. Seeds of suspicion had been planted in his heart that day, and Erebus's words were now like fresh spring rain upon them. After the influence he had accumulated since Zenobia, Loken could hardly believe that Erebus would now choose to behave in such a boorish manner.
Would you care to elaborate on that?
Asked Malagurst, visibly struggling to keep his temper. Loken had never admired the equerry more.
I would,
said Erebus.
But perhaps these might be matters best discussed in private.
Say what you have to say, Erebus. This is the War Council, and there are no secrets here,
said Horus. And Loken knew that whatever role the War Master had planned for them was an irrelevance now. He saw that the other members of the Mournival realized this too.
My lord,
began Erebus.
I apologize if...
Save your apology, Erebus,
said Horus.
You have a nerve to come before me like this. I took you in, gave you a place at my War Council, and this is how you repay me? With dishonor? With insolence? I'll not stand for it. I'll tell you that right now. Do you understand me?
I do, my lord, and no dishonor was intended. If you would allow me to continue, you will see that I mean no insult.
Crackling tension filled the yurt, and Loken silently willed the War Master to put an end to this farce and retire to somewhere more secluded. But he could see the War Master's blood was up, and there would be no backing down from this confrontation.
Go on,
said Horus through gritted teeth.
As you know, we left here 6 decades ago, my lord. Davin was compliant and seemed as though it would become an enlightened part of the Imperium. Sadly, that has not proven to be the case.
Get to the point, Erebus,
said Horus, his fists clenching in murderous balls.
Of course. En route to Sardis and our rendezvous with the 203rd Fleet, the revered Lord Corferon bade me detour to Davin that I might ensure the word of the Emperor, beloved by all, was being maintained by Commander Tember and the forces left with him.
Where is Tember anyway?
Demanded Horus.
I gave him enough men to pacify any last remnants of resistance. Surely if this world was no longer compliant, I would have heard about it.
Eugen Tember is a traitor, my lord,
said Erebus.
He is on the moon of Davin and no longer recognizes the Emperor as his lord and master.
Traitor!
Shouted Horus.
Impossible. Eugen Tember was a man of fine character, an admirable martial spirit. I chose him personally for this honor. He would never turn traitor.
Would that were true, my lord,
said Erebus, sounding genuinely regretful.
Well, what in the name of the Emperor is he doing on the moon?
Asked Horus.
The tribes on Davin itself were honorable and readily accepted compliance, but those on the moon did not,
explained Erebus.
Tember led his men in a glorious but ultimately foolhardy expedition to the moon to bring the tribes there into line.
Why foolhardy? Such is the duty of an Imperial commander.
It was foolhardy, my lord. For the tribes of the moon do not understand respect as we do. And it appears that when Tember attempted an honorable parley with them, They employed means to twist the perceptions of our men and turn them against you.
Means? Speak plainly, man, said Horus.
I hesitate to name them, my lord, but they are what might be described in the ancient texts as, well, sorcery.
Loken felt the humours in his blood swing wildly out of balance at this mention of sorcery, and a gasp of disbelief swept around the yurt at such a notion.
Tember now serves the master of Davin's moon and has spat on these oaths of loyalty to the Emperor. He names you as the lackey of a fallen god.
Loken had never met Eugen Tember, but he felt his hatred of the man rise like a sickness in his gorge at this terrible insult to the War Master's honour. An astonished wailing swept around the yurt as the assembled warriors felt this insult as keenly as he did.
He will pay for this, roared Horus. I will tear his head off and feed his body to the crows. By my honor, I swear it.
My lord,
said Erebus,
I am sorry to be the bearer of such ill news, but surely this is a matter best left to those appointed beneath you.
You would have me dispatch others to avenge this stain upon my honor, Erebus? Demanded Horus. What sort of a warrior do you take me for? I signed the decree of compliance here, and I'll be damned if the only world to backslide from the Imperium is one that I conquered.
Horus turned to the Mournival.
Ready a spear tip. Now!
Very well, my lord, said Abaddon. And who shall lead it?
I will, said Horus. Oh shit!
Wagwan, Necrob. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. So what do you think's just happened there? What do you think to what's just happened, that interaction there between Horus and Erebus? What are you thinking? Yeah, Horus is fucking fuming. Horus is fucking fuming. Fake bark. I think Erebus is full of shit. Trying to lure Horus into a trap. What makes you think that? I want to know like what you're thinking about what's happening. Owen saying, I think he knew this is exactly how Horus would react, because of course he would. Because Erebus is a snake. Erebus is a rat. Oh God, I love seeing what you guys are thinking about what's happening. It's fucking amazing. I love this. Bakeback thinks he's trying to put a stain on Horus's name. Horus is fucking fuming, though. I mean, he would be, though, wouldn't he? Because basically, Erebus has just completely, like, shown him complete and utter disrespect in front of everyone. In front of the entire War Council. And then basically gone, yeah, but Well, first off, you're fucking wrong. And second off, you're not as good as you fucking think you are, because one of your commanders on a world you conquered has turned fucking traitor and thinks that you're a dickhead, and so is the Emperor. Basically. That's basically what he's just said to him. Like, to the fucking War Master. To the Emperor's proxy. It's like, are you fucking having a laugh? Takeback says he's hoping that he'll charge in a rage and make an ass of himself. I can see that. Eggy says, I think Erebus is a jealous bastard, so underhanded and sly, isn't he? Because he isn't in Horus's shoes. I can see that as well. Owen saying Erebus has been the only man in Horus's ear for a long time. He knows what makes the War Master tick, and he very clearly has some ulterior motive, as we saw at the end of the first book. It's funny that he would disrespect him and then tell him something that would instantly get him away from the majority of the forces. I think he has something planned. Fucking hell. Lady Dragon, Erebus is like the shit stirrer colleague that they won't fire. That's a very good analogy. Right, let's continue. So, fucking Horus is fuming, and he's basically said to Abaddon, get the fucking squad ready, get the spear tip ready. And Abaddon's gone, right, who's gonna lead it then? Because usually it's one of the four members of the Mournival is picked to lead the spear tip. And he's gone, I'll fucking lead it. I am. So, the second most important man in the Imperium is basically leading a spear tip into war. Because he's angry. Like... Right. The War Council was dismissed. All other concerns and matters due before it shelved by this terrible development. A frantic vigour seized the 63rd Expedition as commanders returned to their units and word spread of Yugen Temba's treachery. Amid the urgent preparations for departure, Loken found Ignis Carcasey in the yurt so recently vacated by the incensed War Council. He sat with an open book before him, writing with great passion and pausing only to sharpen his nib with a small pocket knife.
Ignis,
said Loken. Carcasey looked up from his work, and Loken was surprised at the amusement he saw in the Remembrancer's face.
Quite a meeting, eh? Are they all that dramatic?
Loken shook his head.
No, not usually. What are you writing?
This? Oh, just a quick poem about the vile Temba,
said Carcasey.
Nothing special, just a stream of consciousness kind of thing. I thought it appropriate given the mood of the expedition.
I know. I just can't believe anyone could say such a thing.
Nor I, and I think that's the problem.
What do you mean?
I'll explain,
said Carcasey, rising from his seat and making his way towards the untouched bowls of cold meat and helping himself to a plateful.
I remember a piece of advice I heard about the War Master. It was said that a good trick upon meeting him was to look at his feet, because if you caught his eye, you'd quite forget what it was you were going to say.
I've heard that too. Aximan told me the same thing.
Well, it's obviously a good piece of advice, because I was quite taken aback when I saw him up close for the first time. Quite magnificent. Almost forgot why I was there.
Not sure I understand,
said Loken, shaking his head as Carcasey offered him some meat from the plate.
Put it this way. Can you imagine anyone who had actually met Horus? I call him Horus. You're not too fond of us mere mortals calling him that. Saying such a thing as this Timber person is supposed to have said.
Loken struggled to keep up with Carcase's rapid delivery, realizing that his anger had blinded him to the simple fact of the War Master's glory.
You're right, Ignis.
Fucking ice cream van outside my house.
You're right, Ignis. No one who'd met the War Master could say such things.
So the question then becomes, why would Erebus say that Timber has said it?
Don't know. Why would he?
Carcase swallowed some of the meat on his plate and washed it down with a drink of the white liquor.
Why indeed?
Asked Carcase, warming to the weaving of his tail.
Tell me, have you had the pleasure of meeting Eluita Hergig? Do you remember, Answer? One of the dramatists. Pens some delightfully overwrought plays. Tedious things, if you ask me, but I can't deny that she has some skill in treading the boards herself. I remember watching her play Lady Ophelia in the Tragedy of Amleti. It was really rather good, though.
Ignis,
Warned Loken.
get to the point.
Oh, yeah, of course. The point is, that as talented as an actress as Miss Hergig is, she couldn't hold a candle to that performance given by Erebus today.
Performance?
Indeed. Everything he did from the moment he entered this year was a performance. Did you see it?
No. Too angry.
Admitted Loken.
Well, I wanted you there. Explain it to me, simply and without digressions, Ignis.
Carcase beamed in pride before continuing.
Very well. Well, when he first spoke of Davin's non-compliance, Erebus suggested taking the matter somewhere more private. Yet he had just broached this highly provocative subject in a room full of people. Did you notice? Erebus said that Timber had turned against him. Horus. Not the Emperor. Horus. He made it personal.
Why would he seek to provoke the War Master so?
Perhaps to unbalance his humour in order to bring his collar to the fore. Not like he wouldn't have known what his reaction would be. I think Erebus wanted the War Master in a position where he wasn't thinking clearly.
Careful, Ignis. You suggesting that the War Master does not think clearly?
No,
Said Carcase.
only that with his humours out of balance, Erebus was able to manipulate him.
Manipulate him? To what end?
Carcase shrugged.
Don't know. What I do know is that Erebus wants Horus to go to Davin's moon.
We counselled against going there. He even had the nerve to suggest that others go in the War Master's place.
Carcase shook his hand dismissively.
Only so as to look like he had tried to stop him from his course of action. He knew full well that the War Master couldn't back down from this insult to his honour.
And nor should he, remember, Answer.
Oh, hang on.
While no, he knew full well that the War Master couldn't back down from this insult to his honour.
And nor should he, remember, Answer.
Said a deep voice at the entrance to the Carcase jumped, and Loken turned at the sound of the voice to see the first captain of the Sons of Horus, resplendent and huge in his plate armour.
Hezekiah,
said Loken.
what are you doing here?
Looking for you,
said Abaddon.
You should be with your company. The War Master himself is to lead the spear tip.
And you waste time with scriveners who call into question the word of an honourable Astartes. First Captain Abaddon, breathed Carcasi, lowering his head. I meant no disrespect. I was just apprising Captain Loken of my impressions of what I'd heard. Silent worm, snapped Abaddon. I should kill you where you stand for the dishonour you do to Erebus.
Ignis was just doing what I asked him to,
Loken pointed out.
You put him up to this, Garviel?
Asked Abaddon.
I'm disappointed in you.
Something not right about this, Ezekiel,
said Loken.
Erebus isn't telling us everything.
Abaddon shook his head.
You would take this fool's word over that of a brother Astartes. Your dalliance with petty wordsmiths have turned your head around, Loken. The commander shall hear of this.
I sincerely hope so,
said Loken, his anger growing at Abaddon's easy dismissal of his concerns.
And I will be standing next to you when you tell him.
The first captain turned on his heel and made to leave the yurt.
First Captain Abaddon,
said Carcasi.
Might I ask you a question? No, you may not,
snarled Abaddon, but Carcasi asked anyway.
What was the silver coin you gave Erebus when you met him?
The end of chapter 3. Oh, bang on 8 as well. We can get another chapter in. All right, let's take a break for a minute. So, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? Owen, that's what I'm saying, Ignis. Lady Dragon's saying they're onto Erebus. Owen's saying, of course, it's fucking Abaddon. What do you think's going on there, then? So, Ignis has fucking pretty much said what he thinks has just happened. Owen's fuming. So Ignis basically said to Loken what you guys were saying. That it seems like he's purposefully winding Horus up to get him to go. But to what end? Why? Why is he trying to get him to go to this moon? Why? What is there? What's the reason? What do you think of Abaddon's little outburst there as well? Because he clearly heard all of that. He clearly heard all of what fucking Ignis just said. Owen, honestly, Ignis has bollocks the size of space operas asking Abaddon that at the end. Yeah, to be fair, yeah. But I think there's a little bit of Ignis that... I mean, Ignis... Is it, like, sometimes is easy to confuse Ignis's stupidity with his with bravery sometimes. But I think in this instance, if you remember, Loken effectively made some kind of agreement or deal with Ignis that Loken would sponsor him, so basically vouch for him. So he's under Loken's protection, really, which is why I think he had the balls to say that to Abaddon, because he's just like, well, you know, I'm working for Loken, and Loken's in the Mournival with you, so what are you going to do? Just kill me right now in front of Loken? I don't think so. Like, even though it's fucking Abaddon. He's a fucking... He's massive, like... Baitbark thinks someone's trying to get Horus thrown out of his position. Who do you think that would be, though? And why? Who would want his position? Who would want Horus's position? One second. Shit, what am I doing? Baitbark thinks that's Snake, Erebus, or Abaddon. Maybe he's working with Erebus. Owen, I'm too blinded by rage to think of anyone but Abaddon. Yeah, but surely, like, one of them couldn't take Horus's place. Horus is one of the sons of the Emperor. Do you know what I mean? There's 18 of them, 18 brothers, all sons of the Emperor, all leading their own. But only Horus has been raised above he has been elevated above the rest of his brothers. Become War Master, proxy in the Emperor's stead. So a simple Space Marine would never be elevated to the rank of War Master. That's something for only a Primarch, only the son of the only the son of a son of the Emperor would be that, because War Master is the proxy of the Emperor in military matters. As far as the military arm of the Imperium is concerned, when Horus speaks, that's the word of the Emperor. They treat it the same as the word of the Emperor. That's it. Like, do you know what I mean? Everyone's whipping the giant Tezzers out today, though, aren't they? Like, fucking Erebus, fucking slapping him on the dais for against Horus, and then fucking Carcasey of all people, just going, oh, by the way, Abaddon, yeah? Fuck were you palming to Erebus before, eh? All right. Let's continue with chapter 4. We gotta open another can of... I said whoop ass then. Let me just open another can of whoop ass. Another can of Coke. Hang on. Let's continue, see what happens. Chapter 4. Secrets and hidden things. Chaos. Spreading the word. Audience. Abaddon froze at Carcasey's words. Loken recognized the signs and quickly moved to stand between the first captain and the remembrancer. Ignis, get out of here, he shouted, as Abaddon turned and lunged for Carcasey. Abaddon roared in anger, and Loken grabbed his arms, holding him at bay as Carcasey squealed in terror and bolted from the yurt. Abaddon pushed Loken back, the first captain's massive strength easily greater than his. Loken tumbled away, but he had achieved his objective in redirecting Abaddon's wrath. You would raise arms against a brother, Loken, bellowed Abaddon. I just saved you from making a big mistake, Hezekiah, replied Loken as he climbed to his feet. He could see that Abaddon's blood was up, and knew that he must tread warily. Aximand had told him of Abaddon's berserk rages during the desperate extraction, of the commander from the Extraanus, and his temper was becoming more and more unpredictable.
A mistake. What are you talking about?
Killing Ignis,
Said Loken.
think what would have happened if you'd killed him. Warmaster would have had your head for that. Imagine the repercussions if an Astartes murdered a Remembrancer in cold blood.
Abaddon furiously paced the interior of the yurt like a caged animal. But Loken could see that his words had penetrated the red mist of his friend's anger.
Damn it, Loken. Damn it.
Hissed Abaddon.
What was Ignis talking about, Ezekiel? Was it a lodge medal that passed between you and Erebus?
Abaddon looked directly at Loken and said,
I can't say.
Then it was.
I can't say.
Damn you, Ezekiel. Secrets and hidden things. My brother, I can't abide them. This is exactly why I can't return to the Warrior Lodge. Aximand and Torgadon have both asked me to, but I won't. Not now. Tell me, is Erebus part of the Lodge now? Was he always a part of it, or did you bring him in on the journey here?
You heard Sergar's words at the meeting. You know I can't speak of what happens within the circles of the Lodge.
Loken stepped in close to Abaddon, chest plate to chest plate, and said,
You'll tell me now, Ezekiel. I smell something rank here, and I swear, if you lie to me, I'll know.
You think to bully me, little one?
Laughed Abaddon, but Loken saw the lie in his bluster.
Yeah, Ezekiel. I do. Now tell me.
Abaddon's eyes flickered to the entrance of the yurt.
Very well,
He said,
I'll tell you. But what I say goes no further.
Loken nodded, and Abaddon said,
We did not bring Erebus into the Lodge.
No?
asked Loken, his disbelief plain.
No,
Repeated Abaddon.
it was Erebus who brought us in.
Oh, timing that, babe. Cheers, babe. Thanks, babe. Love you. Fucking Slam Queen with a fucking brew. That is a good fucking brew. Love the Slam Queen's brews. Fucking hell. So, fucking Loken was willing to go fucking toe to toe with Abaddon then. Cracking brew that.
What a woman.
Yeah, Loken ready to go toe to toe with Abaddon then. Fucking Abaddon calling him little one as well. That tells you how massive Abaddon is. But yeah, they didn't bring Erebus into the lodge. Erebus brought them in. So what the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Fucking hell. Owen, Abaddon is an absolute fucking shite hawk. I absolutely hate the rat. So, now we know that Brotherhood Lodge, that like secret society in the Legion, in the Space Marine Legion, in the Sons of Horus, they didn't induct Erebus into the lodge. Erebus inducted them into the lodge. So what the fuck's going on there then? Because Erebus isn't even from the Sons of Horus. He's from the Wordbearers Legion. He's from a completely different legion. The plot thickens. Owen instantly got me thinking the whole lodge is some dark shit. What with Torgadon, and Aximand, and Nero? You think they're all in on it? My brother in Christ, Torgadon, Nero, Vipus. I love Vipus. I love Torgadon. I hope they're not in on it. Because they're all in the lodge. And if Erebus brought all them into the lodge, what the fuck is going on? Let's find out. Or let's continue at least. I don't know. Erebus. Brother Astartes. First chaplain of the Wordbearers. Trusted counselor of the War Master. Liar. No matter how much he tried to blot the word out with his battle meditation, it kept coming back to haunt him. In response, Euphrates Keeler's words from the last time they had spoken swirled around his head, over and over. She had stared him down and asked, if you saw the rot, a hint of corruption, would you step out of your regimented life and stand against it? Keeler had been suggesting the impossible, and he had denied that anything like what she was suggesting could ever take place. Yet here he was, entertaining the possibility that a brother Astartes, someone the War Master valued and trusted, was lying to them for reasons unknown. Loken had tried to find Kirill Sinderman to broach the subject with him, but the Iterator was nowhere to be found, and so Loken had returned to the training halls despondent. Smiling killer Luke Cedere was cleaning the dismantled parts of his bolter. The twins, Moy and Ma, were conducting a sword drill, and Loken's oldest friend, Nero Vipus, sat on the benches polishing his breastplate, working out the scars earned on murder. Cedere and Vipus nodded in acknowledgement as he entered. Garvey, said Vipus. Something on your mind?
No. Why?
Look a little strung out, that's all.
I'm fine,
snapped Loken. Fine, muttered Vipus. What did I do?
I'm sorry, Nero,
Loken said.
I'm just...
I know, Garvey. Whole company's the same. Can't wait to get in theatre and be the first to grips with that bastard Tember. Luke's already bet me he'll be the one to take his head. Loken nodded noncommittally and said,
Either of you two seen First Captain Abaddon?
No, not since we got back,
replied Cedere without looking up from his work.
That remembrance of the black girl. She was looking for you, though.
Ollerton?
Aye, that's her. Said she'd come back in an hour or so.
Thank you, Luke,
said Loken, turning back to Vipus.
And again, sorry I snapped at you, Nero.
Don't worry, laughed Vipus. I'm a big boy now, and my skin's thick enough to withstand your bad moods. Loken smiled at his friend and opened his arming cage, stripping off his armour and carefully peeling away the thick, mimetic polymers of his subsuit body glove until he was naked but for a pair of fatigues. He lifted his sword and stepped towards the training cage, activating the weapon as the iron-grey hemispheres lifted aside and the tubular combat servitor descended from the centre of the dome's top.
Combat drill Epsilon 9,
he said.
Maximum lethality.
The combat machine hummed to life, long blade limbs unfolding from its sides in a manner that reminded him of the winged Clydes on Murder. Spikes and whirring edges sprouted from the contraption's body, and Loken swiveled his neck and arms in readiness for the upcoming fight. He needed a clear head if he was to think through all that had happened, and there was no better way than to achieve purity of thought than through combat. The battle machine began a soft countdown, and Loken dropped into a fighting crouch as his thoughts once again turned to the first chaplain of the Word-Bearers. Liar. Can't stop thinking about Erebus. Especially after what he knows now. And what Ignis told him. And then what Abaddon told him. And what he's seen himself. He just knows Summit's off. It had been on the 15th day since leaving Interex space, and a week before reaching Davin, that Loken finally had the chance to speak with Erebus alone. He awaited the first chaplain of the Word-Bearers in the forward observation deck of the Vengeful Spirit, watching smudges of black light and brilliant darkness slide past the great armoured viewing bay.
Captain Loken?
Loken turned, seeing Erebus's open, serious face. His shaved, tattooed skull gleamed in the swirling vortices of coloured light shining through the glass of the observation bay, rendering his armour with the patina of an artist's palette.
First chaplain,
replied Loken, bowing low.
Please. My given name is Erebus. I would be honored if you would call me by it. We have no need for such formality here.
Loken nodded as Erebus joined him in front of the great multicoloured vista laid out before them.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Said Erebus.
I used to think so,
Nodded Loken.
In truth, I can't look on it now without dread.
Dread? Why so?
Asked Erebus, placing his hand on Loken's shoulder.
The warp is simply the medium through which our ships travel. Did not the Emperor, beloved by all, reveal the ways and means by which we might make use of it?
Yes, he did,
agreed Loken, glancing at the tattooed script on Erebus's skull, though the words were in a language he did not understand.
They are the pronouncements of the Emperor as interpreted in the Book of Lorgar and rendered in the language of Colchis,
said Erebus, answering Loken's unasked question.
They are as much a weapon as my bolter and blade.
Seeing Loken's incomprehension, Erebus said,
On the battlefield, I must be a figure of awe and majesty, and by bearing the word of the Emperor upon my very flesh, I cow the Xeno and unbeliever before me.
Unbeliever?
Poor choice of word,
shrugged Erebus dismissively.
Perhaps misanthrope would be a better term. But I suspect that you did not ask me here to admire the view of my scripture.
Loken smiled and said,
No, you're right. I didn't. I asked to speak to you because I know the Word-Bearers to be a legion with many scholars among their ranks. You've sought out many worlds that were said to be seats of learning and knowledge, and brought them into compliance.
True,
agreed Erebus slowly.
though we destroyed much of that knowledge as profane in the fires of war.
But you are wise in matters esoteric, and I desired your counsel on her. A matter I thought best spoken of privately.
Now I am intrigued,
said Erebus.
What is on your mind?
Loken pointed towards the pulsing, spectral light of the warp on the other side of the observation bay's glass. Clouds of many colours and spirals of darkness spun and twisted like blooms of ink in water, constantly churning in a maelstrom of light and shadow. No coherent forms existed in the mysterious other world beyond the ship, which, but for the power of the Gellerfield, would destroy the War Master's vessel in the blink of an eye.
Warp allows us to travel from one side of the galaxy to the other. But we don't really understand it at all, do we?
Asked Loken.
What do we really know about the things that lurk in its depths? What do we know of chaos?
Chaos,
repeated Erebus. And Loken detected a moment of hesitation before the word-bearer answered.
What do you mean by that term?
I'm not sure,
admitted Loken.
Something Mithras Tull said to me back on Zenobia.
Mithras Tull. I don't know the name.
He was one of Jepta Naud's subordinate commanders,
explained Loken.
I was speaking to him when everything went to hell.
What did he say, Captain Loken? Exactly.
Loken's eyes narrowed at the first chaplain's tone and said,
Tull spoke of chaos, as though it was a distinct force, primal presence in the warp. He said that it was the source of the most malevolent corruption imaginable, and that it would outlive us all and dance on our ashes.
He used a colourful turn of phrase.
That he did. But I believe he was serious,
said Loken, gazing out into the depths of the warp.
Trust me, Loken. The warp is nothing more than mindless energy churning in a constant turmoil. That is all there is to it. Or is there something else that makes you believe these words?
Loken thought of the slavering creature that had taken the flesh of Xavier Jubal in the water fane under the mountains of 6319. That had not been mindless warp energy given form. Loken had seen a monstrous, thirsting intelligence lurking within the horrid deformity that Jubal had become. Erebus was staring at him expectantly, and as much of the word-bearer had been welcomed within the ranks of the Sons of Horus, Loken wasn't yet ready to share the horror beneath the whisperheads with an outsider. Hurriedly, he said,
I read of battles between the tribes of men on Old Terra, before the coming of the Emperor, and they were said to use powers that were...
Was this in the Chronicles of Ursh?
Asked Erebus.
Yes. How did you know?
I too have read it, and I know of the passages to which you refer.
Then you also know that there was talk of dark, primordial gods and invocations to them.
Erebus smiled indulgently.
Yes. And it is the work of outrageous telltales and incorrigible demagogues to make their Farrago's as exciting as possible, is it not? The Chronicles of Ursh is not the only text of that nature. Many such books were written before unification, and each writer filled page after page with the most outrageous, blood-soaked terrors in order to outdo his contemporaries, resulting in some works of dubious value.
You don't think there's anything to it, then?
Not at all,
said Erebus.
Tull said that the Immaterium, as he called it, was the root of sorcery and magic.
Sorcery and magic,
laughed Erebus, before locking his gaze with Loken.
He lied to you, my friend. He was a fraternizer with Xenos breeds, an abomination in the sight of the Emperor. You know the word of an enemy cannot be trusted. After all, did the Interrex not falsely accuse us of stealing one of the Kinnebrak's swords from the Hall of Devices? Even after the War Master himself vouchsafed that we did not.
Loken said nothing as ingrained bonds of brotherhood warred with the evidence of his own senses. Boba77, welcome. Everything Erebus was saying reinforced his long-held beliefs in the utter falsehood of sorcery, spirits, and demons. Yet he could not ignore what his instincts screamed at him. That Erebus was lying to him, and the threat of chaos was horribly real. Mithras Tull had become an enemy, and Erebus was a brother Astartes, and Loken was astonished to find that he more readily believed the warrior of the Interrex.
As you have described it to me, there is no such thing as chaos,
promised Erebus. Loken nodded in agreement, but despaired as he realized that no one, not even the Interrex, had said exactly what kind of weapon had been stolen from the Hall of Devices. Self-snitched. Self-snitched. This is why this. So that's the first like proper conversation. So that's a little flashback to the first proper conversation that Loken ever had with Erebus. And he fucking Erebus fucked up and self-snitched, and that is the reason why Loken doesn't trust him. That's the reason why Loken didn't trust him from the off. Because he thought he was lying to him, and he basically self-snitched. What a dickhead! What a dickhead. Fucking dickhead. Right, let's crack on.
Did you hear?
Asked Ignace Carcasi, pouring yet another glass of wine.
She's got full access. The War Master. Disgraceful. Here's us, breaking our backs to create art worthy of the name in the hope that catching the eyes of someone important enough to make matter. And she bloody swans in with so much as a bye, and you'll even get audience with the War Master.
I heard she had connections, nodded Wenduin, a petite woman with red hair and an hourglass figure that ship's scuttlebutt had down as a firecracker between the sheets. Carcasi had gravitated towards her as soon as he had realized she was hanging on his every bitter word. He'd forgotten exactly what it was she did, though vaguely he remembered something about compositions of harmonic light and shade, whatever that meant. Honestly, he thought,
They'll let anyone be a remembrancer these days. The retreat was, as usual, thick with remembrancers. Poets, dramatists, artists, composers, which had made for a bohemian atmosphere, while off-duty army officers, naval ratings and crew were there for the civilians to impress with tales of books published, opening night ovations and scurrilous backstage hedonistic excess. Without its audience, the retreat revealed itself as an uncomfortably vandalized, smoky bar filled with people who had nothing better to do. The gamblers had scraped the arched columns bare of gilt to make gambling chips, of which Carcasi now had quite a substantial pile back in his cabin, and the artists had whitewashed whole areas of the walls for their own daubings, most of which were either lewd or farcical. Men and women filled all the available tables, playing hands of Mercy Mercy, while some of the more enthusiastic remembrancers played their next compositions. Carcasi and Wendwin sat in one of the padded booths along the wall, and the low buzz of conversation filled the retreat. "Connections," repeated Wendwin sagely.
That's it, exactly,
said Carcasi, draining his glass.
I heard the Council of Terror. Sigillite, too.
Throne. How'd she get them?
Asked Wendwin.
The connections, I mean.
Carcasi shook his head.
Don't know.
Not like you don't have connections either. You could find out.
Wendwin pointed out, filling his glass once more.
Don't know what you have to be worried about anyway. You have one of the Astartes looking after you. You're a fine one to be casting aspersions.
Hardly,
snorted Carcasi, slapping a palm on the table.
I have to show him everything I damn well write. Censorship, that's what that is.
Wendwin shrugged.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but you got to go to the War Council, didn't you? Little censorship's worth that, I'll bet.
Maybe,
said Carcasi, unwilling to be drawn on the subject of events on Davin and his terror at the sight of an enraged First Captain Abaddon coming to tear his head off. In any event, Captain Loken had later found him, trembling and afraid, in the commissariat tent, making inroads into a bottle of distillac. Been a little ridiculous, really. Loken had ripped a page from the Bondsman No. 7 and written on it in large blocky letters before handing it to him.
This is an oath of moment, Ignis,
Loken had said.
Do you know what that means?
I think so,
he had replied, reading the words Loken had written.
It's an oath that applies to an individual action. Very specific and is very precise,
Loken had explained.
Common for an Astartes to swear such an oath before battle, when he vows to achieve a certain objective or uphold a certain ideal. In your case, Ignis, it will be to keep what passed here tonight between us.
I will, sir.
You must swear, Ignis. Place your hand on the book and the oath and swear the words.
He had done so, placing a shaking hand atop the page, feeling the heavy texture of the page beneath his sweating palm.
I swear not to tell another living soul what passed between us, he said.
Loken had nodded solemnly and said,
Do not take this lightly, Ignis. You've just made an oath with the Astartes, and you must never break it. To do so would be a mistake.
He nodded and made his way to the first transport off Davin. Carcasi shook his head clear of the memory. Any warmth or comfort the wine had given him suddenly achingly absent.
Hey,
said Wendwin.
You listening to me? Looked a million miles away there.
Yes. Sorry. What were you saying?
I was asking if there was any chance you could put in a good word for me to Captain Loken. Maybe you could tell him about my compositions. You know, how good they are.
Compositions?
What did that mean? He looked into her eyes and saw a dreadful avarice lurking behind her facade of interest, now seeing her for the self-interested social climber she was.
Suddenly, all he wanted to do was get away. Well, could you? He was saved from thinking of an answer by the arrival of a robed figure at the booth. Carcasey looked up and said, "Yes. Can I help?" But his words trailed off as he eventually recognized Euphrates Keeler. The change in her since the last time he had seen her was remarkable. Instead of her usual ensemble of boots and fatigues, she wore the beige robe of a female remembrancer, and her long hair had been cut into a modest fringe. Though more obviously feminine, Carcasey was disappointed to find that the change was not to his liking, preferring her aggressive stylings to the strange, sexless quality this attire granted her. "Euphrates? Is that you?" She simply nodded and said, "Looking for Captain Loken. Have you seen him today?" "Loken? No, well, yes. Not since Davin. Won't you join us?" he said, ignoring the viperous glare Wendwin cast in his direction. His hopes of rescue were dashed when Euphrates shook her head and said, "No, thank you. Place isn't really for me." "Nor me, but here I am," smiled Carcasey. "Sure I can't tempt you to some wine or a round of cards?" "I'm sure, but thanks anyway. See you around, Ignis. Have a good night," said Keeler with a knowing smile. Carcasey gave her a lopsided grin and watched her as she made her way from booth to booth before leaving the retreat. "Who was that?" asked Wendwin, and Carcasey was amused at the professional jealousy he heard in her voice. "That was a very good friend of mine," said Carcasey, enjoying the sounds of the words. Wendwin nodded curtly. "Listen, do you want to go to bed with me or not?" she asked, all pretense of actual interest in him discarded in favour of blatant ambition. Carcasey laughed. "I'm a man, of course I do." "And you'll tell Captain Loken of me?" "Well, if you're as good as they say you are, you can bet on it," he thought. "Yes, my dear, of course I will," said Carcasey, noticing a folded piece of paper on the edge of the booth. Had it been there before? He couldn't remember. As Wendwin eased herself from the booth, he picked up the paper and unfolded it. At the top was some kind of symbol, a long capital I with a haloed star at its centre. He had no idea what it meant and began to skim the words, thinking it might be some remembrancer's discarded scribblings. "Hey, Aggie." "Ignis, what a man." He's well funny, man. He had no idea what it meant and began to skim the words, thinking it might be some remembrancer's discarded scribblings. Such thoughts faded, however, as he read the words written on the paper. "The Emperor of mankind is the light and the way, and all his actions are for the benefit of mankind, which is his people. The Emperor is God, and God is the Emperor. So it is taught in this, the..." "What's that?" asked Wendwin. Carcasey ignored her, pushing the paper into his pocket and leaving the booth. He looked around the retreat and saw several identical pamphlets on various tables around the room. Now he was convinced that the paper hadn't been on his table before Euphrates' visit and began making his way around the bar, gathering up as many of the dog-eared papers as he could find. "What are you doing?" demanded Wendwin, watching him with arms folded impatiently across her chest.
"Piss off,"
snarled Carcasey, heading for the exit.
"Find some other gullible fool to seduce. I don't have the time."
If he hadn't been so preoccupied, he might have enjoyed her look of surprise. Some minutes later, Carcasey stood before Euphrates Keeler's billet. Deep in the labyrinth of the arched companionways and dripping passages that made up the residential deck, He noticed the symbol from the pamphlet etched on the bulkhead beside her billet and hammered his fist on a shutter until at last it opened. The smell of scented candles wafted into the corridor. She smiled, and he knew she'd been expecting him.
The Tissio Divinatus,
he said, holding up the pile of pamphlets he'd gathered from the retreat.
We need to talk.
Yes, Ignis, we do, she said, turning and leaving him standing at the threshold. He went in after her. Owen, what an absolute hero. I fucking love Ignis. He is fucking funny, man. I do like Ignis. He's ace.
Piss off.
Fucking what a legend, man. Fucking hell. Fucking Ignis, man. Okay. Horace's personal chambers were surprisingly modest, thought Petronella. Simple and functional, with only a few items that might be considered personal. She hadn't expected lavish ostentation, but had thought to see more than could be found in any army soldier's billet. A stack of yellowed oath papers filled a footlocker against one wall, and some well-thumbed books sat on the shelves beside the cot bed. Its length and breadth massive to her, but probably barely sufficient for a being with the inhuman scale of a Primarch. She smiled at the idea of Horus sleeping, wondering what mighty visions of glory and majesty one of the Emperor's sons might dream. The idea of a Primarch sleeping was distinctly humanizing. Though it had never crossed her mind that one such as Horus would even need to rest. Petronella had assumed that, as well as never aging, the Primarchs did not tire either. She decided the bed was an affectation, a reminder of his humanity. In deference to her first meeting with Horus, Petronella wore a simple dress of emerald green. Its skirts hung with silver and topaz netting, and a scarlet bodice with scandalous décolletage. She carried a data slate and gold-tipped memo quill in a demure reticule of gold cord draped over her shoulder, and her fingers itched to begin their work. She had left Maggard outside the chambers, though she knew the thought of being denied the chance to stand in the presence of such a sublime warrior as Horus was galling to him. Being in such close proximity to the Astartes had been a powerful intoxicant to her bodyguard, who she could tell looked up to them as gods. She regarded his pleasure at being amongst such powerful warriors as quietly endearing, but wanted the War Master all to herself today. She ran her fingertips across the wooden surface of Horus's desk, anxious to begin this first session of documenting him. The desk's proportions were as enlarged as those of his bed, and she smiled as she imagined the many great campaigns he had planned here, and the commands for war signed upon its stained and faded surface. Had he written the order granting her previous audience here, she wondered? She remembered well receiving that instruction to attend upon the War Master immediately. She remembered her terror and elation as Babeth was run ragged with half a dozen rapid changes of costume for her. In the end, she had settled for something elegant yet demure. A cream dress with an ivory-panelled bodice that pushed her bosom up, and a webbed necklace of red gold that reached up her neck before curling over her forehead in a dripping cascade of pearls and sapphires. Eschewing the Terran custom of powdering her face, she opted instead for a subtle blend of powdered antimony sulfide to darken the rims of her eyes, and a polychromatic lip gloss. Horus had obviously appreciated her sartorial restraint, smiling broadly as she was ushered into his presence. Her breath, had it not already been largely stolen by the constriction of her bodice, would have been snatched away by the glory of the War Master's physical perfection and palpable charisma. His hair was short, and his face open and handsome, with dazzling eyes that fixed her with a stare that told her she was the most important thing to him right now. She felt giddy, like a debutante at her first ball. He wore gleaming battle armor the color of a winter sky, its rims formed of beaten gold and bas-relief text filling each shoulder guard. Right against his chest plate was a staring red eye, like a drop of blood on virgin snow, and she felt transfixed by its unflinching gaze. Maggard stood behind her, resplendent in brightly polished gold plate and silver mail. Of course, he carried no weapons, his swords and pistols already surrendered to Horus's bodyguards. "My lord," she began, bowing her head and making an elaborate curtsy, her hand held palm down before him in an expectation of a kiss.
So, you were of House Carpinus.
He recovered quickly, disregarding the War Master's breach of etiquette in ignoring her hand and asking her a question before formal introductions had been made. "I am indeed, my lord."
Don't call me that,
said the War Master. "Oh, of course. How should I address you?"
Horus would be a good start,
he said, and she looked up to see him smiling broadly. The warriors behind him tried unsuccessfully to hide their amusement, and Petronella realized that Horus was toying with her. She forced herself to return to his smile, masking her annoyance at his informality, and said, "Thank you. I shall."
So, you want to be my documentariist, do you?
asked Horus. "If you will permit me to fulfill such a role, yes."
Why?
Of all the questions she'd anticipated, this simple query was one she hadn't been expecting to be thrown so baldly at her. "I feel this is my vocation, my lord," she began. "It is my destiny as a scion of House Carpinus to record great things and mighty deeds, and to encapsulate the glory of this war, heroism, danger, the violence, and the full fury of battle. I desire to..."
Have you ever seen a battle, girl?
asked Horus suddenly. "Well, no, not as such," she said, her cheeks flushing angrily at the term girl.
I thought not, said Horus. It is only those who have neither fired a shot nor heard the shrieks and groans of the dying who cry aloud for blood, vengeance, and desolation. Is that what you want? Is that your vocation?
"If that is what war is, then yes," she said, unwilling to be cowed before his boorish behavior. "I want to see it all and record the glory of Horus for future generations."
The glory of Horus,
repeated the War Master, obviously relishing the phrase. He held her, pinned by his gaze, and said,
There are many remembrances in my fleet, Miss Vivar. Tell me why I should give you this honor.
Flustered by his directness once more, she searched for words, and the War Master chuckled at her awkwardness. Her irritation rose to the surface again, and before she could stop herself, she said, "Because no one else in the ragtag band of remembrances you've managed to accumulate will do as good a job as I will. I will immortalize you. But if you think you can bully me with your bad manners and high and mighty attitude, then you can go to hell, sir." A thunderous silence descended. Then Horus laughed, the sound of hard, and she knew that, in one flash of anger, she had destroyed her chances of being able to accomplish the task she had appointed herself.
I like you, Petronella Hart Vivar of House Carpinus,
he said.
You'll do.
Her mouth fell open and her heart fluttered in her breast. Truly? She asked, afraid that the War Master was playing with her again.
Truly,
agreed Horus. But I thought...
Listen, lass. I usually make up my mind about a person within 10 seconds, and I very rarely change it. The minute you walked in, I saw the fighter in you. There is something of the wolf in you, girl, and I like that. Just one thing.
Yes?
Not so formal next time,
he smirked.
We are a ship of war, not the parlors of America. Now, I fear I must excuse myself, as I have to head planetside to Davin for a council of war.
And with that, he had been appointed. Nossa, House Carpinus. It still amazed her that it had been so easy, though it meant most of the formal gowns she had brought now seemed wholly inappropriate, forcing her to dress in unbearably prosaic dresses more at home in the almshouses of the gypsy spires. The dames of society wouldn't recognize her now. She smiled at the memory as her trailing fingers reached the end of the desk and rested on an ancient tome with cracked leather binding and faded gilt lettering. She opened the book and idly flipped a couple of pages, stopping at one showing a complex astrological diagram of the orbits of planets and conjunctions, below which was the image of some mythical beast, part man, part horse.
My father gave me that,
said a powerful voice behind her. She turned, guiltily snatching her hand back from the book. Horus stood behind her, his massive form clad in battle plate. As ever, he was almost overwhelmingly intimidating, physical and masculine, and the thought of sharing a room with such a powerful specimen of manhood in the absence of a chaperone gave her guilt a delicious edge. Sorry, she said. That was impolite of me. Horus waved his hand.
Don't worry, he said. If there was anything I didn't want you to see, I wouldn't have left it out.
Despite his easy reassurance, he gathered up the book and slipped it onto the shelves above his bed. He immediately sensed a great tension in him. And though he appeared outwardly calm, her heart raced as she felt his furious anger. It bubbled beneath his skin like the fires of a once dormant volcano on the verge of unleashing its terrible fury. Before she could say anything in reply, he said,
I'm afraid I can't sit and speak to you today, Miss Vivar. Matters have arisen on Davin's moon that require my immediate attention.
She tried to cover her disappointment, saying, No matter. We can reschedule a meeting for when you have more time. He laughed. Sound harsh, and she thought a little too sad to be convincing.
That may not be for a while, he warned.
Well, I'm not someone who gives up easily, she promised. I can wait. Horus considered her words for a moment and then shook his head.
No, that won't be necessary,
he said with a smile.
You said you wanted to see war.
She nodded enthusiastically and he said,
Then, accompany me to the embarkation deck, and I'll show you how the Astartes prepare for war.
End of chapter 4. But we'll leave it there for tonight. But we will have a little debrief. He's all in on this. What do you think? What do you think's going on? What do you think's going on with Horus there? So obviously Horus has got his very own personal remembrancer now. In Petronella Vivar of House Carpenus. So she is his personal remembrancer. So she's there to record everything, to listen to his stories, kind of like Mercedes Ollerton with Loken. You know, she's Loken's personal remembrancer. Well, Petronella Vivar is Horus's personal remembrancer. So she's there to take down all his thoughts, his stories, like witness things that's happening, and tell his story, record him for history. That's basically what she's there for. But personally just there for Horus. And he's obviously took her down to Davin. So that big war council in that year in Davin, she will have been there. You know, the one where Erebus fucking basically fucking started backchatting Horus, basically. Owen thinks Ignis is right and that he isn't thinking clearly. Bastard. Who, Horus? You think Horus isn't thinking clearly? Well, Loken had said, ever since that shit went down on I can't remember what the name of the fucking planet is. The Interrex planet. When someone stole that sword and everything went to shit. Ever since then, like, Horus has become more and more withdrawn. And the only person that seems to be able to be around him is Erebus. But Logan said he's also noticed that since that day, Horus's mood has been, like, not good. Like, he's been prone to, like, fucking anger and rage and losing his temper at shit, and do you know what I mean? Like talking to people like shit when he wouldn't usually do that. There's something in him like has changed his mood. Oh, and yeah, he's not got his head screwed on. Dude's blinded by rage, and it's going to lead to a disaster. Well, I mean, fucking someone as powerful, with as much power as Horus. Do you know what I mean? I don't just mean like how physically fucking powerful he is. Obviously, he's fucking insanely physically powerful. But I mean, the actual, like, the military power and political power that he holds as well, being the proxy of the Emperor, being the War Master. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like that shit in the year when he's like, I'm going to that moon. I'm leading the fucking spear tip. I'm leading this attack or whatever. And it's like, no one can tell him that's a really shit idea. You should probably not do that, because he's the fucking War Master. Like, do you know what I mean? But you're gonna tell him what to do. Remember when Abaddon like dared tell him what to do in the last book, and he fucking was like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to, basically? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, what do you guys think is going to happen? Before I go, what do you guys think is going to happen in this book? Like, what, like in the immediate future of what's happening now? So Erebus talked all that shit in the year. Horus got pissed off and said, right, well, I'm leading the fucking I'm leading the attack on this moon then. No, I just mean like in the immediate future. What do you think's going to happen when they go to this moon? Because that's what's effectively happening now, isn't it? Because they're planning to go to this moon, and Horus is leading the attack. And Horus is fuming as well. Like you said, he's clearly not thinking. Like, clearly. Haha, Jesky's fella, fucking. Owen, it's not going to be good, I know that much. Erebus had that too planned out, and Horus played into said plan perfectly. Yeah, it seemed that way, didn't it? Definitely seemed that way. But Loken knows that Erebus is not to be trusted, and he's basically made that clear to Abaddon now. Do you know what I mean? Because he basically said as much to Abaddon, and then Abaddon didn't look fucking jazzed about it. You know what Abaddon's like, so. But Owen thinks Abaddon's in on it. We also found out that Erebus is the one who brought everybody else into the Brotherhood's lodge. Oh. Loken does know, but is Horus going to listen to him when he has a personal axe to grind? Well, that's the thing, innit? Like Ignis said. What Erebus said about this Eugen Tember, this guy who's turned traitor, he said that it was aimed at Horus, not the Emperor, to make it personal. Because then Horus sees it as a personal affront, like, do you know what I mean? An attack to him. Because, so he's attacking, he's basically... Erebus is using Horus's ego against him. He's using Horus's own ego against him. He's manipulating Horus's own ego against him. Owen hates Abaddon. Well, Abaddon's the highest ranking Space Marine in the Sons of Horus. Really. He's the first captain of the first company. He's the highest ranking Space Marine. The only person above Abaddon, ranking wise, in the Sons of Horus, is Horus himself. Because Abaddon's the first captain. Loken's 10th company captain. But he's also in the Mournival one. I know we're only 4 chapters in now. Are you how you enjoying this one compared to the last one? Granted, nothing majorly massive has happened yet in this one. I noticed Erebus is getting a lot of... You guys have a lot of opinions on Erebus. Baitback's enjoying this one more. It is good, this one. When I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Like, but I like this one. Erebus is a wuss. Says Baitback. Might be because you know the characters more though. As well though. You're more familiar with the characters now that we've got to the second book. Like, you know who they are, like. Straight rapscallion. Nosset, nothing major has happened yet, but there's definitely more going on immediately. Yeah, that's definitely right. Owen, I think this one's better from the start because we've got the backstory of what's happened before and more direction of who we are talking with. Yeah, definitely. Understand who is who and the tension. Yeah. I do like this book a lot. I enjoyed this a lot when I read it the first time. But, yeah. Fucking chapter 4. Straight away, how many chapters is there? Is it in parts again? Oh, it's in 4 parts. Oh, hang on. How many chapters? Got like 20 chapters, I think. 21 chapters. We've got 21 chapters. So we can get a good few weeks out of this book. Give it a rate of like 2 or 3 chapters a week. Who's your favourite character so far? Before I go, who's your who is your favourite character out of all these books so far? Fake back. I had an idea for a sub goal. Hit me with it. And then hit me with your favourite character from the book so far. I want to know your favourite character and why. Eggy likes Horus. Why do you like Horus? Why is Horus your favourite character? Eggs? You read 50 Shades or Twilight. Oh my god. Yeah, we can put that, we can lock that in for a sub goal in the future, definitely. Nosset, Ignace Carcasi. Because he's an old man and he don't give a fuck. Owen, obviously Loken. We're taking him out of the equation. I've got to say, I really like Kirill Sinderman. Yeah, Kirill Sinderman's cool. Ignace Carcasi's fucking great. Ignace, Tez is a fucking steal and funny as fuck. Fake back. I like the lady from the bar. Her voice was ace. Yeah. Take back. I know, right? But I think you could make it hilarious. Okay, we'll lock that in for a future sub goal then. How long is it though? How long is it? And would I be able to read that? Would I be able to read 50 Shades on Twitch? I don't know whether I'd be able to. I'd have to look into that because I don't know whether that counts as. Do you know what I mean? Muzz123, do I play 40k tabletop? I haven't played a game of 40k tabletop in many a year, but I have I have like 3 armies on this shelf over here. It's Tyranids, Word Bearers. Well, 4 technically. Tyranids, Word Bearers, Demons, and Sisters of Battle. All on here and all up there. Loads and loads. So I collect and paint it, but I haven't played a game in years. They're such terrible books. Eggy, Horus just has a good head on his shoulders. He has a sense of honesty and morality that you don't see in many others. He is, though. He is. That's why the Emperor chose him. The Emperor didn't choose him to be War Master for no reason. Do you know what I mean? There was 17 other sons that he could have picked. And he chose Horus. So he chose him for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Leeds J, Slam King, you still free next weekend at all? Next weekend, as in a week. As in not this weekend coming, the weekend after. Fake Bark. Loken and Ignis are my favourites, though, in all seriousness. Yeah. Ignis is great. Ignis is a great character. Loken's a great character. I should be free, yeah. I'll be free at some point over the weekend, definitely. Probably be Saturday. Obviously, I stream on Sunday, so. But yeah, I should be free on the Saturday at some point. Wait, in Manchester. Meet up for a pint. I do love Targaryen though, but he's barely been in this book so far. He was literally in it once. He made a joke like he always does, and then Horus basically told him to shut the fuck up. Poor Targaryen. My Targaryen. Shouting at Targaryen. Shouting at Artaric. Groove was a hitting Mank for a day session on Saturday. Yeah, I'll be able to swing by for an hour or so. Should be able to. Remind me closer to it though, because obviously you know what I'm like. Got an head like Swiss cheese. Get everything. So remind me closer to it. Because I will forget if you don't remind me. Because I forget everything. Like literally everything. 25 years of smoking weed will do that to you. To be fair though, since I stopped smoking weed like a few years ago, my memory has got better. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still fucking... It's still shit. Like... I'm like a dog. You know what I mean? But I just get distracted by everything, and then whatever it was that I was supposed to be doing just fucking goes out my head. That's literally what it's like. That's the best way I can describe it. What is it? Yeah. What is it? What's fucking Heath Ledger says in The Dark Knight? I'm like a dog chasing cars. That's literally what my attention's like. All the time. Leeds J. I used to take acid and I remember loads. Terror Trooper, how you doing? You alright? Goth Owen. Not gonna lie, I kind of forget who Targaryen is. I might need to buy the other book and reread between streams. Targaryen, he's the guy. He's the one that was in the Mournival that Loken was already friends with. He always kind of cracks jokes and makes tries to make light of like every situation. He's the guy who fucking put that Lord Commander Eidolon of the Emperor's Children right in his fucking place when they were on that planet with the mega arachnids in the first book. He's that guy. That guy who fucking rinsed that Commander Eidolon. You know that fucking pompous fucking prick that was leading the Emperor's Children on the murder planet with fucking the mega arachnids. The one who was taking fucking credit for Saul Tarvitz's fucking like clever ideas. That prick. Tarek Targaryen's the one who fucking basically was like, fucking ripped him a new arsehole. Yo, hey, Absolute, how you doing? Oh, that was, right, okay. Well, he's in this book, so. He's in this book further on. You remember him. Kind of has like, I've kind of given him like a northern sort of Yorkshire accent. He's got an Emmerdale accent, basically. Oh, you had a great time reading. Yeah, it's good. This book's really, really good. Really, really good book. My second time reading it, so I'm enjoying it. It's very good. Ah, right, okay. Yeah, give it a reread then. Give it a reread, Owen. I mean, there's like, how many books is there in this series? Like fucking, I don't know, like fucking 100 or something. I'm not reading through every single book in the series. I'll read the main ones. Terror Trooper. Jace's voice is the best to read everything. Thanks. But what's a good thing about this book is it's a new book, so there's loads more new characters. So I'll have to think up new fucking voices, like that fucking woman in the bar. Cheers, Terror Trooper. I'm glad you enjoy it. Fake back. That's why I suggested 50 Shades. I'd have to check to see if I'd be able to read that on a Twitch stream, just because I don't know, because of the type of book it is. I know it's not supposed to be like the fucking like most X-rated fucking shit, but still, like, I'm not sure. I'd have to double check into that. I'd have to double check into it and see whether that's something that can be read on Twitch. Do you know what I mean? But if it is, we can lock it in for a future sub goal. Definitely. Shadow says hi. Hi, Shadow. You all right? Terror Trooper. I can't connect stuff like this to the Slam King in my head. Yeah, no, I'll do loads of stupid voices, though, if we do have to read that. Right, guys, I am going to go. I'm going to go because I am tired, and also Gav is literally on his way round to my house to sort out the laptop. So I'm going to have to go, guys. I'm going to have to go. But I will be on tomorrow. The Queechy's Gate. So we'll catch up with Paul Queechy and the gang. See what they're up to. And we'll have some fun in Baldur's Gate. Right, guys. I'm going to say goodnight to you all. I love you all very much. If you are new to the channel and you haven't joined our Discord, please join our Discord channel, because we have got the best Discord community ever of all time. Everybody is super fucking cool. Terror Troopers just dropped that fucking Discord link right in the chat. So if you are new to the channel, if you haven't joined our Discord, click that fucking link. Introduce yourself. Make loads of new awesome friends. And join our fucking Discord. Alright. Peace and love. Oh, there we go as well. Fake bag with the merch. If you want to support the channel, if you want to support me, click that merch link. Got loads of t-shirts, mugs, bottles, posters, all kinds of shit on there. All fucking support is greatly appreciated. I am going to say goodnight, though. I love you all very much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, my beautiful Queechlings. I hope you enjoyed the book. I will speak to you in the Discord. And I will see you all tomorrow for Queechy's Gate. Peace and fucking love. Mwah.